What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, September 25th, 2023, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 1:11 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have a U.S. B 52 nuclear bomber over Kansas. And we also have a presidential doomsday plane flying over Iowa about to land at Stratcom. And it took off from Wright-Patterson Airfield in Dayton, Ohio. And it actually turned its transponder off while it was flying over Illinois and Missouri and Iowa. And this B 52 that's up in the air right now is squawking some kind of emergency. Uh, and apparently it squawked 7700 at around 11 a.m. local time near Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. So, very, very concerning, guys. Okay. We have a B 52 squawking some kind of an emergency. What that is, we don't know. Some kind of issue with the plane, potentially. But, to have a B 52 in the air at the same time as a presidential doomsday plane, uh, and the Doomsday plane turning off its transponder for a short while is very weird. And then having the B 52 squawking 7700 is very, very unusual. So here's the B 52. It took off from Barksdale Air Force Base, that's home of Air Force Global Strike Command. That's where the Air Force manages the air leg of our nuclear triad, which includes our Minuteman missiles and our bomber force. Okay, so that's their headquarters. So this B 52 took off from HQ, and now it's over Kansas, apparently squawking an emergency of some kind. And here's the Doomsday plane, the presidential Doomsday plane. And it looks like it's about to land at Offutt Air Base. But let me show you, just about an hour ago, this presidential Doomsday plane was over Illinois, and it shut off its transponder here. Okay, so you can see it has its transponder on here. And then the B 52, you can see it took off like roughly the same time as the Doomsday plane did. And it took off from Dayton, Ohio, Wright-Patterson, which many people believe the alien that was recovered from Roswell was taken there, supposedly. I'm not sure if I believe that, but it's a very top secret facility. It's almost like Area 51. It's like the Area 51 of the East, basically. Okay. Very, very secretive airfield there. And let me show you when it turned off its transponder. You can see this was just 15 minutes later, and it completely disappeared from the flight tracker. And now you can see that it reappeared just north of Kansas City. So it turned its transponder off somewhere near northern Missouri, western Illinois. Okay, very, very strange. And last night we had Russian special flight squadron plane that was flying right behind a U.S. Reconnaissance drone in the Black Sea. So the Russian plane took off from Moscow, and it flew over the Black Sea, and it looked like at one point it was flying right behind the RQ-4 Global Hawk. Okay, whether it's a coincidence or it was that way on purpose, we don't know. So here's the two of them. You can see Forte 11 doing its thing in the central Black Sea, and then here's the Russian plane right behind it. Okay, very, very strange. But then the Russian plane goes south, flies over Turkey, and ends up landing in Libya. Okay, why it's going to Libya, I don't know. It may be for humanitarian relief, maybe for some diplomatic reasons. I have no idea. But you can see here where they basically were right next to each other at one point. But I want to share some of the latest breaking news with you guys, so we can confirm 100% that Russia's entire Black Sea Fleet leadership was wiped out during that Ukrainian missile strike, and Ukraine purposely timed that missile strike so it would coincide with a meeting. Apparently, the leader of the Black Sea Fleet, the commander, the admiral, Sokolov, was eliminated in these strikes, and apparently 34 Black Sea Fleet officers were eliminated, including generals, and 105 injured. And this has been confirmed by Ukraine's special forces. Okay. So this is just a huge thing. Okay. This is huge. Okay. Putin is really being pushed into a corner here because, they eliminated the Black Sea Fleet leadership, the commander. They destroyed a Kilo class submarine just about 2 weeks ago. They've penetrated the last line of defense in Zaporizhia, the critical area that Russia needs to protect. So, and then, Russia just lost control over the Caucasus with Azerbaijan taking back Nagorno Karabakh, and Kadyrov missing, nowhere to be found, potentially in a coma. So Putin is really running out of options here. He's lost a lot of men. He's lost a lot of artillery. There's not much left for him to do. He's running out of missiles. He's got some drones, and that's pretty much it. So I'm really concerned at this point that Putin is going to have to do something drastic in order to bring back balance to the situation. Okay, because what happened was, initially, before the war started, the situation was out of balance because Ukraine wanted to join NATO and they wanted to join the EU. And so Putin saw that it was out of balance, that Ukraine was, the situation was out of balance. So he decided to invade, thinking that that would bring everything back to balance. And now it's going out of balance again because Ukraine is hitting these strategic areas with missile strikes. They took out the sub, they took out the Black Sea Fleet commander. They just penetrated the last defensive line in Zaporizhia. And yeah, it wasn't a big penetration. They just reached it with a small force, but that's all they need to do. Okay, now all they have to do is send a massive amount of forces into that one spot and break through the fortifications with a massive force, with lots and lots of tanks and troops. And by the time Russia moves their forces to protect that area that they're trying to defend, that Ukraine is trying to penetrate, by the time Russia redeploys their forces, it's going to be too late, and Ukraine is already going to be basically, halfway through that land bridge. And so at that point, Putin knows that once that happens, it's going to be too late because Ukraine is just going to keep pushing through in that area that they penetrated, and the Russian forces are spread out over a large area. Okay, they have a huge line to defend, and in order to defend that huge line, they have to spread their forces out. Okay, so if Ukraine concentrates all their forces in one area and they try to split that land bridge, by the time Russian forces come from all different directions to try to reinforce that area, it's going to be too late. Ukraine is going to make a lot of gains, and it's going to be hard for Ukraine to get pushed out. Okay, they'll dig in, and at that point, Putin knows that that basically his power in Russia is going to be threatened because then people are going to start to question, how good of a leader is he. There's already a lot of people. I mean, just look at what with Prigozhin. Prigozhin had a lot of support. I mean, the war's dragging on so long, and people are going to start to question, why do we have Putin? He's not doing a good job. Look, Ukraine is about to split the land bridge in half. So I really have a bad feeling that Putin is going to have to do something drastic to bring balance back to the situation because Ukraine is getting more Western weapons. They're supposed to get F-16s. They're supposed to get Taurus missiles now. They're going to continue to get more high precision Western weapons, ATACMS, okay? Once Ukraine gets F-16s, it's not so much about the capability of those F-16s flying around and being able to, provide air cover. It's the fact that the F-16s are then compatible with all Western missiles, okay, because NATO's standard airplane is the F-16. Okay, the F-16 is the plane of choice for delivery of tactical nuclear weapons right now in NATO. They're trying to replace the F-16 with F-35s, but not every country can afford them. So it's a slow process. But the F-16 is still the number one plane in NATO. Every NATO country has F-16s, and they're capable of delivering nuclear weapons. And so if Ukraine has F-16s, not only are they capable of delivering nuclear weapons, but they can deliver basically all of the top-notch cruise missiles and various types of missiles that NATO has, including the US JSAM missile, which has like a 500-mile range, twice the range of Storm Shadows. So it really opens the doors to you for Ukraine once they get those F-16s, but they're going to get ATACMS, and who knows what else they're going to get. And Russia knows that time is running out. The window is closed. The window of opportunity to do something to stop this is closing. So Putin is going to have to do something drastic, and just doing another large missile strike is not going to do it because people are not going to be impressed. He needs to have that shock factor like when Russia invaded, okay, because people didn't take Russia seriously. They didn't think Russia would invade. And that's why he invaded, because he wanted to show the world, look, I'm not messing around. I'm not afraid. And, he tried to intimidate the world. And now he sees that the West is not afraid anymore. They're giving Ukraine long range missiles. Ukraine is striking Crimea. And there's even talk of Ukraine planning to take back Crimea soon. Okay. The deputy prime minister of Ukraine, Vereshchuk, she was saying for all Ukrainians in Crimea to start preparing to leave because Ukraine is going to be liberating Crimea soon. So the window of opportunity for Russia to do something is closing, and I think Putin is going to be tempted to do something drastic to bring back balance to the situation, because right now the scales are tipping towards the West, just like they were before the war started. The scales were tipping towards the West with Ukraine trying to join NATO and stuff like that. So then he invaded. The scales tipped back to Russia. Now the scales are tipping back towards NATO. Okay, with the Russian economy is being weakened. The Russian military has been eviscerated. They lost so much equipment. And so the scales have really tipped towards the West now. So he feels like he probably has to balance it out again. And doing a massive missile strike like we've seen before is not going to cut it. Okay. He's got to do something huge to bring the balance back. I'm not saying I support this. I'm just telling you, I'm getting into the psychology of Putin. Okay. And I'm trying to get you to understand what's coming so you can be prepared so you're not caught off guard, because he's going to have to do something drastic to bring the balance back. Because as things stand right now, Russia cannot keep up with the endless supply of Western precision weapons. There's no way that they can keep up with it unless he inks out some kind of deal with China when he goes there in October to meet with Xi Jinping, and China's going to supply weapons. But China needs their own weapons. Plus, does China really want to get involved in this war and become party to the conflict? That's another thing. Plus, China may be planning an invasion of Taiwan, so they can't afford to be shipping weapons to Russia. Okay, so Putin is running out of options. He's out of missiles. He's out of men. He's out of tanks. So logically, what's the next big step? Okay, it's using nuclear weapons. Okay, so please make sure you're prepared for that. If you're living in Ukraine and you're watching this, please make sure you have a fallout shelter, a basement you can go into. Check out my How to Survive Nuclear War series. I'll leave a link to that in the top right corner of this video. If you live in Ukraine, please make sure you have a fallout shelter, or if you're in Eastern Europe. So very dangerous times right now. This is the most dangerous time of this war, okay? Because Putin is going to feel like he's got to do something drastic in order to bring the balance back, okay? Especially if Ukraine starts to split that land bridge, which we're starting to see. And I think that might happen in the fall or in the winter, because Ukraine and the Pentagon are both saying that the counteroffensive is not going to stop, okay, for the winter. So I want to just share some more breaking news with you. We can confirm 100% that the first batch of Abrams tanks have arrived in Ukraine. This was confirmed by Zelensky and the Pentagon. Okay, so the first batch of Abrams tanks, which would be at least 31, have arrived in Ukraine months ahead of schedule. We have the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs putting the chairman of the International Criminal Court, Peter Hofmansky, on the wanted list in Russia. Okay, so the chairman of the International Criminal Court is now on a wanted list in Russia. Absolutely insane. I mean, imagine if Russia arrested the chairman of the Hague. That would be insane. But this is coming from RIA Novosti, the Russian government funded newspaper. Last night, during the drone attack on Ukraine, a giant hotel that was unoccupied was destroyed by Russian drones. And luckily, there was nobody in there, but it was a massive landmark. So it's a sad, sad thing. We also have some breaking news coming in right now. Apparently, there was a drone attack in Russia. Presumably, a Ukrainian drone attacked some oil fields in Bryansk. Okay, Bryansk is in southwestern Russia. Unfortunately, I cannot show the footage here. We also have some breaking news coming from the Russian Foreign Ministry. The Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, said that Armenia is making a big mistake by trying to destroy its relationship with us. Okay, so very strong words there for Armenia. Does that mean Russia's going to invade Armenia now? Who knows? But there is a lot of anti-Russian sentiment now in Armenia. And also, the Kosovo police found a massive cache of weapons belonging to those attackers that attacked the Kosovo police. Tons and tons of automatic weapons and heavy weapons that were found. They've already arrested the attackers, but it doesn't add up. Serbia's denying that they said that they didn't fund these attackers. Okay, that they acted independently, but how would they get all that kind of weaponry if they had to be given that weaponry from somewhere? Okay, and it's logical that Serbia would do it. So that's pretty much the latest information that I have. Stay tuned to my channel for more breaking news coverage. Okay, B-52 nuclear bomber in the air right now, squawking an emergency, and a Doomsday plane that just landed in Offutt Air Base that had its transponder off. So make sure you hit the bell notification icon to get notified when I upload new videos. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. And I'll be back later today with another update. So take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.